guys? Welcome back to another episode of Seoul Therapy, the podcast. My name is Daniel.
Daytona.
And in today's episode, we will be recapping High School Rapper Season 4 with our take on the overall season. And as usual, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. Also, for more contents, please go and follow our socials at Seoul_Therapy. All right, so recently, High School Rapper Season 4 concluded with Trade L hailed as the winner. But we also noticed how this season, to a certain extent, it seemed like the hype kind of ran dry, and maybe it's due to COVID, but the energy and the tone didn't really progress till the latter part of the program. So I wanted to start our discussion with just a general question of, what is your overall take on High School Rapper 4?
You're kind of being generous here, Daniel. I mean, like quality from the quality of the like the music, like how good the contestants were, like all of that aside, just looking at how much of a what do you call it? How hot this audition was, I guess.
Right.
Like, no, this season didn't measure up to the previous 3 at all. And in a sense, High School Rapper has always been on a decline, I guess.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, Season 2 was great, but it was not as great as Season 1. And Season 3 was kind of okay, but it was not as good as Season 2. And Season 4, I think we're starting to see the beginning of the end, maybe.
Yeah, it started to kind of dim a little bit.
Yeah. I think there are many factors to this. First of all, there weren't any female contestants, I guess.
Oh, that's true.
Which is a problem.
That is very true.
I know, like, the production team said there were not many female rappers applied in the first place. And there were not the people who did, like, they thought was not viable enough to get, like, they were not skilled enough, I guess. Yeah, they said that in the press conference. And considering, like, whether or not that is true, let's say it is true, that doesn't take away from the fact that there's less diversity in the pool. And and I'm not saying this from a politically correct standpoint. I'm saying this from a very business perspective. If you have less representation in a certain group that is on TV, it means you're going to lose half of your viewership.
That is very true.
Yeah. One of the best things about High School Rapper 3 was not because the people on there were rapping better than people rapping better than the contestants of High School Season 1 or 2. It was because there were lots of characters that were represented. You had substantial female rappers, and that entails that more women will be able to see this audition program actually rooting for them.
That is very true. It was very diverse last season.
Being that diverse means having diverse people look at your program. Having diverse, watch your program. But this season lacked that, which means that there will be less people watching the program. And
that's true.
This whole gender issue aside, let's put that on the side. If you really think about it, the contestants themselves were not that diverse either. There were standout characters like any season would. Right. But even if you look at the initial pool of the contestants that actually made it, I don't really think they were very diverse. One thing I noticed from the first episode of Season 4 was, man, I don't think they're unique enough. They don't have that much of a unique style. I'm generalizing here a bit, but to just give people who didn't watch the show a general scope of things, once I watched episode 1 and 2, it was like, man, 70% of these dudes are so obviously influenced by Lil Tachi.
Yeah.
Why is everyone trying to rap like him? Like,
I
of
can
course, not
definitely see
everyone,
that.
but you get what I'm talking about.
The influence is there.
Yeah, it's like that is not what I go to high school rapper for.
That's true.
No pun intended here. You look at like the mainstream scene and you see a bunch of like nobody rappers trying to like imitate Young Thug or Playboi Carti
Mm-hmm.
or a Lil Uzi Vert maybe.
That's
and I'm
true.
like, why am I seeing this on TV again?
Yeah.
Like, I have to deal with that shit on YouTube, and now I have to deal with that shit on TV too. Like, which was really weird in a sense because the songs were like, except for a few of them, the songs themselves were not Playboi Carti like.
Yeah.
So what happened was, instead of all of different rappers writing on a beat that Playboi Carti would, what happened was a bunch of Playboi Cartis writing on beats that Playboi Carti would never rap over. It was really weird.
That's a good depiction. That's a good depiction.
The problem with previous seasons were maybe that there were beats that were so similar.
Yeah.
Not always the case. Again, this is just generalizing for like the picture, like for the bigger picture here. But this season problem was that there were diverse beats and song concepts, but the people rapping over them didn't have enough differentiation between them.
Yeah. That's true. Because I was looking at the list and there was a whole bunch of different producers. So that showed the diversity. But
yeah, exactly. Like, and even though the songs were diverse because they were, I'm not taking that away from that. Like,
for sure,
there are various, like, if you look at the influences, like there are samba rhythm influences, like there are very many different song types here, but most of them were looking at a singular direction. Like, one thing you can take away from these songs is that various rhythms, like various different approaches, but all of them landed, like most of them, like were obviously like geared towards be as poppy as possible.
Yeah.
That was kind of a disappointment for me because if I wanted poppy songs, I would have gone for other auditions.
Facts, yeah.
Yeah, like if you look at the heydays of hip hop auditions, like Show Me the Money season 3, 4, High School Rapper 1, 2.
Yeah.
They never went for a poppy direction. I mean, and
that's
even if
so true.
Even if they did, it was more of a deviation. Like, if you had like 3 songs if you had 3 songs throughout the whole competition, maybe one of them was really sweet and poppy and stuff.
True.
This season was like, it was hard to find songs that actually had a more hard-hitting presence.
Yeah, that's really true.
The thing is, I'm not saying that they don't have the artistic freedom to do that. Like, that's whatever. But somehow the weird thing is, the more they geared themselves toward mass appeal, they fail to get that mass appeal that they're so going for. It was really interesting. Like, it is true that hip hop has definitely become sweetened a little bit more, and that they did well on the charts. But somehow, this is very interesting because one thing when I heard the songs was that, this might not be my taste, but this might actually top the charts. Like, I saw a lot of chart potential in these songs, but
interesting.
They just didn't happen. Which makes me think maybe it's not the songs themselves that drove this kind of chart success. What actually happens in the program is important.
Yeah.
And you need to have good stages, but you need to have good performances. You need to have character establishment. But I think they kind of failed on this, to be really honest here, which is disappointing, really. Like, like everything about this program was made sure to have as much as chart potential as possible, but
For sure.
they never measured up to it. You remember that song that went against Chris Brown Moves?
Oh yeah. I do remember
I really
that one.
liked Chris Brown Moves. Like that was a song that actually surprised me. Like that, if I had to pick one song off of the whole competition, it is that song.
Wow, I would have not expected you to pick that one.
Like because
to be honest,
I mean that's a whole nother discussion. That's a whole nother discussion. But what was the song opposite of Chris Brown Moves? It was that song where the two kids were dancing in suspenders.
It was
Was
with
it
was
it
Team.
Work?
I think it was.
Yeah, it was. And I'm looking at that stage and it's like, yeah, this is for TikTok. Yeah, this was made for TikTok.
Okay,
and I'm not
I can see where
shitting
you're
on
going.
TikTok here.
No, of course
I'm not shitting on TikTok whatsoever because there's lots of creative content coming from TikTok, believe it or not. But I just hate what TikTok did to music. When I heard that song, man, this is our version of Drake's Tootsie Slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, this. Oh my god.
Oh wow, that is an accurate representation.
Even the song, like even the dance they did.
Oh
it's
man,
kind of similar, like left foot ones. Like what was? How did Tootsie Slide go?
I have no idea. I've only listened to it a couple of times, so I like genuinely forgot about it. But succeeding on TikTok does not necessarily mean you're going to top the charts in Korea. It's a different game here. Like maybe in the States it has a huge influence, but from what I know from Korean like mass appeal is that Koreans don't like TikTok that much, as much as the people in the States do. True.
Like there's myriads of different reasons like Korean people don't like TikTok as much as people in the Western hemisphere do.
True.
Like yeah, and so when I heard that song, like man,
you almost thought of mainstream right away. You're like, okay.
It's not even mainstream because, as I just said, TikTok is not mainstream.
Oh, that's true.
There are many songs that I thought were mainstream here. That was the song that made me think about TikTok.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, so I really get what the producers were going for with that song. But when I just saw that, man, and immediately when I saw that performance, it was like, man, they did it for the charts, but there's no way this is getting that much success. And not to sound pretentious here, but it did not do well on the charts, right?
Yeah, I mean, none of the songs were really on the charts anyways, so...
Yeah, exactly. Like, on the other hand, Chris Brown Moves was... That is the kind of song that I want to hear if you're going for a mainstream appeal. Because, first of all, the hook was not pretentious.
Okay.
Like, most of the hooks... Like, not most, I guess. A substantial amount of the hooks for this season was like, here's the hook.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, it sounded super, like, artificial. Like, they had to make the hook because it was the hook.
Right.
But this sounded natural. Like,
I could see that.
Like, from what I have seen from not just Korea, but there's the whole trend of hip-hop in general, is that there has to be less distinction between the hook and the verse.
Yeah. Like,
that is the flow of, like, the genre is going for. Like, you had artists like Young Thug, 21 Savage, and that kind of bled into the Korean scene where the hook should not stand out that much, but still kind of stand out. You have to write that very thin line very well. And I think Chris Brown Moves did that. Chris Brown Moves was the very few songs that did that. Like, it's catchy, but not like in your face catchy. It's catchy because it actually works your way through like the listener psyche in a way that there's this slight differentiation between the verse and the hook. And like, it's so hard to explain this because
No, I think you explained it well.
yeah.
What I'm getting is that it sounds as if the song Chris Brown Moves, it's not overwhelming. It has that
exactly.
balance.
It's not pretentious, is what I'm saying. It's very natural. The way they write the beat. Like, for example, let me kick in a little bit of major knowledge here as an English major.
Please, educate us.
If you look at poetry rhyme schemes, there's everyone knows the A, B, C, D rhyme scheme, right?
Mm-hmm.
Usually this applies to hip hop in the sense where it's not A, B, but A, B, like kind of way. And in this new era where rappers are getting more melodical, like the point where you give inflections and melodies serve what the rhyme did back in the 90s and 2000s. And one way, I think, is to make the record sound fresh and not as pretentious is to shake up the rhyme scheme.
True.
Like kind of a free verse. For example, instead of giving melodies at like in an A-D-A-B structure, maybe go for like a A-A-B-A, and you know what I mean? Put similar melodies in different positions and different bars so that it is not as predictable.
Yeah.
What Chris Brown Moves managed to do was put the predictable pattern in the hook, but they made sure the verse was not that predictable. Like, it was like, man, if he put the melody here, he's going to put that melody in the next verse, like in the next bar. But instead, he did it like 2 bars later instead of putting it in the immediate next bar. Like, if you look at the details of that song, it is very nuanced. It has all the candy in it, I guess. But it is hidden. It is not in your face. Here's the candy. It's like, look for the candy kind of thing. And the more I listen to that song, man, it's just, man, they put a lot of thought into this.
Yeah, they did.
If you look at the program, like it's Hwang Se-yeon, right?
My favorite contestant.
Yeah. Hwang Se-yeon and Jia, if you look at the way they made their song, they made the hook in 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, that's unreal.
Yeah, it's like, but this is my prediction here. I'm not saying these are facts anymore. Once they got the ingredients for that song, like once they made the hook, they probably recorded the verses, right?
Probably.
It's almost as if they took like the various components of the song, like they recorded the thing very easily. Like they just threw left ideas here and there, but they were very careful in putting them together. That's what I'm getting from this song. The more, like, everything is so calculated, but doesn't seem calculated.
Okay.
Many other songs during this competition sounded very calculated.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to rhyme here, and he's going to put the melody here. And most of the times, it went that way that I expected. And if it is too calculated, people are not going to remember it.
That's true.
Because the more predictable you are, like I think that is the art of pop music. You need to be predictable, but not too predictable. You need to be fresh, but not too fresh.
That's true.
Yeah, especially if you're looking for chart music.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so Chris Brown Moves did that, but not many other things did, in my opinion.
For sure. And for me, I think with this overall, season, I completely agree with you. To me, even though it kind of progressed in the latter part, I still think at the end of the day, it felt very dry. It felt very underwhelming. It almost seems as if no one really gave it their all, even though I know they gave it their all, but it's just that energy. There's this kind of tone and this atmosphere of just, it's very seldom. It's very, bland, I would say. And
actually, I don't think they did. I think you're right, Daniel. There are people that gave their all.
For sure. No, I agree.
There are people that didn't give their all. but I don't blame them because, like, one of the controversies I saw was that the Quiet and Yumta doesn't do shit. There was controversy about this. Like, what are they doing was people... But if you think about it, right after the show ended, they put out a song together. You know, you saw that album, right?
Yeah, the Loser rap album.
Yeah. That is easily... That's the game. That's the kind of game that the Quiet and the Yumta is playing here.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by this.
Actually, yeah. I mean, ever since, like, that is the best you can get out of this. Like, personally, I liked it because they didn't do shit, in a sense. Like, quote unquote, didn't do shit. It's like, I think at some point the Quiet realized this season isn't going to measure up to the past seasons.
Oh, no. I mean, just if you look at him throughout the show, he just didn't seem interested at all. And if you look at Yupta, he was just, okay, let's just do what we need to do.
Very easygoing. Almost as if they kind of knew that this season was already botched from the first few episodes. It's like,
I think they gave up, I would say.
You know what? I think their mentality was this. It was like, you know what? I'm getting the few gems out of this, like the few people that actually are unique, getting them out and making them make whatever music they want to.
It's true, yeah.
Because even if they're going for mass appeal, they kind of knew like, this ain't going to do well on the charts anyway, because there is so much less clout on the show itself.
Yeah, that's true.
So if you look at Team Daytona's, I'm not getting biased on Daytona because of the name, by the way.
Oh,
I actually have been accused a little bit about this, but no, that is not the case. There are very weird songs that came out in Team Daytona.
Dude, that's where I was going to kind of like refer. I was like, what in the world are we getting out of this team? It's so them, you know?
Yeah, they knew that. I think this is my prediction, 100% my prediction, by the way. I'm not saying these are facts in any shape or the form, but the Quiet, especially the Quiet, Yumta as well, but especially the Quiet has always been known in the Korean hip hop scene as being the mastermind. Like, like you think he's doing something wrong, but it always turns out he's the right guy. Like,
true.
When he started out Illinois Records, like people were like, "What? This is not where you're supposed to go. Where is the lyrical miracle Pete Rock 90s shit? Why are you doing this dumbass Southern boom shit?" And it turns out he was right. Illinois changed the culture.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The little moves he make, I think, like every time he does something, it's like he gets hated on. But somehow he turns out to be the right person in the end.
That's true. No, that's facts right there.
Yeah,
you know, I think.
What I'm talking about here is, I don't think auditions programs are, what do you call it? I don't think the best the rapper can do out of those auditions is to make hit songs anymore. I mean, I've been thinking about this a lot. If you look at Show Me the Money 9, the songs that actually did well are VVS and On Air. Those two songs.
And also Lil Boy's song with Geary Boy, Tomorrow.
Oh, wait. No. I confused On Air with Tomorrow, I think. Because On Air went up the charts and I think it fell down again. The song was INT. And Yumta and...
Credit.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Credit. The song that really did well was VVS and Credit. Yeah. The other songs got out of the chart very quickly. Like they fell out of the top 10 really fast, fell out of the top 20, 30 really fast. The songs that actually really did well were these two songs. Back in the days, all of the songs, like in Show Me the Money 5, for example, like all of the songs hit the charts, like top 10 everywhere. Like she was everywhere. And that fell and really hit the most low point in Show Me the Money season 8. Like none of the songs charted.
Oh yeah.
So everyone thought, man, Show Me the Money 9 is going to be a failure again. And it was not exactly the failure it was, if you look back at it, but it wasn't like the greatest shit ever either.
No.
Yeah. So it's like half fluke and a half success. High School Rapper Season 4, talking from a purely commodity standpoint, was a total failure.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the Show Me the Money 8 of High School Rapper franchise.
That's where I was going to go, because the concept seemed very aligned with one another, because the theme just felt very trap, you know. It was all trap, but also, you know, there's big name contestants in High School Rapper, but just because you have big name artists doesn't mean the show is going to pan out to be successful, right? So,
like, the hottest thing about this show was the producers.
For sure, yeah. That's the only thing I would say.
That is not a good thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
There was no balance, I would say. It was one way or the other. It was either the producers or the artists, but to be honest, it was mostly the producers, and it fell flat, like you were mentioning.
Yeah. And like the music that Higher took out, Higher Ambition music, like White and Chang'o, and Samdi and Loco, which basically means AOMG. Yeah. Like, the way these three teams went and the way Daytona went was so different. Like, there's a certain logic to how the other three went. They made very similar songs with very minor differences. Minor, distinct differences, but in the same direction. Daytona team didn't have a direction at all, in my opinion.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like, J.I. put on a song that was completely rock-inspired. True Religion was basically like 2010 occasion stuff.
Oh, man. I didn't like that one.
Like, look, ever since I heard that song, I was like, man, this is so different from the other songs. This didn't have any kind of calculation behind. Like I have problems with the song, but at least it was vastly different from what the other people were doing.
Yeah, that's true.
And in that sense, I think Daytona really did the right thing here, because if you're not going to chart, you might as well make whatever song you want to.
That's so true.
Right?
That's so true.
And the thing is, a lot of people in the Korean hip-hop community, I don't know about mass appeal here, I'm talking strictly about like Korean hip-hop community. People were like, damn, this reminds me so much of Occasion. And people actually like that cloud rap, because the cloud rap that Chu does is not exactly the most trendy rap anymore. Maybe it was trendy back in like 2010 or 2011. Like,
but not right now.
Yeah, like when A$AP Rocky was dropping his mixtape and stuff like that. So in a sense, people were really impressed by Chu. And I think that ensures a better future.
Makes sense, yeah.
Like, at least people really are paying attention to your music. Because with the exception of already, like, rappers that already have a major label backing them, like, for example, Trade L and D-Arc.
Yeah.
And idol rappers who are not exactly going to have a rapper career after this. All of the other rappers, what I got from this was I listened to Higher music stuff instead of their stuff. Like, this is Higher music. This is AOMG type of music. But my point is, why would I listen to these songs when there are already better AOMG songs? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not to be... right. Yeah. Who am I kidding? I am being offensive here.
No, you're not.
I would rather listen to Iffy than any of these songs. You know what I mean?
Wow.
If you're going for the same direction, you need to make the song better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for example, mainstream analogy here. Like, one of the two hottest rappers in the States are right now, Lil Baby and Gunna, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Gunna's music.
Same here. No, I don't like it either.
And the reason is because I don't like his style. I just think rather than listening to a Gunna song, I would pick up a Young Thug project. Like, it's the same thing here. Like, there's lots of singing raps, and that is a style that requires technicality. I'm not saying that the people here and the contestants were talentless, but if I want to say here, who was that work song? The guy who did that TikTok song that I just mentioned, Park Hyun-jin can sing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
He hits the right notes. That is actually sort of refreshing because there are many singing rappers that can't even hit the right notes. There are terrible singing rappers all over SoundCloud. At least what I got from him was that the kid can actually sing. But when I'm listening to that, I'm like, I would rather listen to a Jay Park song.
I hear you.
You have a similar type of production. You have all that sweet, like gentle kind of beats. I would rather listen to any song off of Everything You Wanted. Or maybe even his like past projects. Like maybe even local songs too. There's some local songs that can do that. It's like I want to hear what the contestants have to offer rather than what the producers have to offer. And the best songs are a perfect merge of both of them. Like you have the contestant flavor and the producer flavors coming together. That's what great Show Me the Money seasons have always been able to do. Like, B.I. was on Team AOMG, right? B.Y. songs didn't sound like AOMG ripoffs.
No, they were very original, I would say.
Yeah. When C-Jam was on Team YG, they didn't sound like G-Dragon songs. I wanted that kind of dynamic. I always look for that kind of dynamic here. But it's as if the producers overpowered the contestants this season. And that is not a good sign because it means there's not enough uniqueness within the contestants, which means the producers had to take over.
That's true.
Like, for example, you remember Day Day, the song from BY, right?
That very funky hip hop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
But because like it was a very funky and a little bit of it was the typical Grey beat. But the way B.Y. was rhyming over that made it so fresh. Like the way he was rhyming so unconventionally over such a mass appealing song made it into a very fresh dynamic. Which is what actually gave the song chart appeal. Because it was familiar, but not that familiar.
That's true.
These songs sounded way too familiar.
Yeah, it almost felt
too familiar.
It almost felt very recycled.
Yeah, it's like this is
someone
like,
used
this sounds
it and
like
then
a
they brought
J-Park
it back.
B cut. This sounds like a Grey B cut. This is like not B cut, B-sides. You know what I mean? Like this was so not the direction I wanted. I wanted actual people with artistic identity coming out in High School Rapper.
That's true. Yeah.
Howon had an artistic direction. Vincent had an artistic direction.
Very underrated.
Yeah. Yang Woo-won had an artistic direction. Che Ha-min had an artistic direction. Soko Domo had an artistic direction. Tang had an artistic direction in his mind, an artistic vision in his mind. The only instances I got from this competition was Team Daytona.
Yeah.
The rappers on Team Daytona actually had a vision of what kind of music they want to do. Another case was on another song I enjoyed in that similar perspective was the song with Hoonyeok, Mu Tempo.
Oh, yeah, with featuring BB?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually fresh.
That was very good.
Yeah, there was a samba rhythm to it, and it's like, this is something I actually never heard before in Korea.
It brought out that world culture, right? That Brazilian sound. So I appreciated that.
A little bit of dance hall kind of influence.
Mm-hmm.
And I know dance hall has been kind of like run to the death in the States, but it hasn't here. So it's like, someone is actually doing this in Korea. That's interesting. And there was the song with Yoboy and Noyuna called 녹아줄게.
Oh, that was really good.
Yeah, that was good. Like the melody was really catchy, and the way they like went through that song was really interesting. Like it had that very running 3/4 rhythm. Like it wasn't the typical boom bap beat, but it wasn't trap either. And the melody was catchy. The performance was actually kind of like cinematic. I like that perspective about it. And there are a couple of flukes here and there. Not fluke, but some exceptions here and there. But that was basically...
That's all you got.
That was it. I don't know how to put it better.
No, I kind of fall on your back as well. There wasn't that many tracks that I really enjoyed. And literally the only 3 tracks that I really enjoyed was Elizabeth, was from Team Daytona. I really enjoyed Self Check with featuring Nuksat by Noyuna.
Oh, yeah.
That one was fire. And then I would say even Naro by Lee Sang-jae featuring Simon Dominic and Loco.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess that's just my taste because I'm very...
Everyone has different tastes.
Just because I like that kind of basic, just very kind of catchy. But, honestly, just looking at and hearing at all the other songs, it just didn't match up to the previous seasons. I mean, I love the diversity with the producers and everything, but at the end of the day, it almost seemed as if everything was recycled, and it didn't really feel like a high school rapper.
It was so calculated.
Yeah.
I can understand if this was a Show Me the Money season. Because if you look at Show Me the Money, like it's usually established artists that are coming out here. We know what kind of music they make before we actually see them on the show. Like we can look it up in the streaming platforms. There are not many rappers that do that in high school rapper, right? Because they're not established, not being adults yet. At least in most of the cases. And like it all comes down to how not that much of a unique contestant pool we had. Like it was very samey. I get Lil Tachi's a great rapper, everyone, but people need to stop biting him, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's like big name doesn't always translate into big success, right?
Yeah, like homogenizing, like the genre being homogenized is not a good, in any era, in any history of music, like the sound becoming so, what do you call it? Samey? No, I don't want, I want to use some another word than samey.
It's very repetitive.
No, it's not quite that. I think homogenized is the right thing to say. Like in any era, that was not a good symptom. Like we've seen movements, like if you look at like pop music history, entire movements died out because the sound was getting homogenized.
Yeah.
Not just hip hop, like smooth jazz killed jazz, basically.
True.
Grunge got tired after a while. Grunge music. Nu metal died the same way. Oh my god. At least I really hate to sound like the old guy in the room here. But this made me kind of doubt the teenagers. Man, you need some sense of artistic direction, people. Like, just because you get on an AOMG beat doesn't mean that you're automatically going to top the charts.
Yeah, that's true.
The reason AOMG people are so successful artistically and commercially is because they're, and first they are good rappers in the first place.
Yeah.
Just because you got some shiny piano keys on a song and some gentle guitars doesn't automatically propel you to the top of the charts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even blame the producers here. Like,
yeah,
they gave like what they think was going to work because it has worked for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the best of what they have. You can't suddenly make the contestants rap better, right?
That's true. That's true.
You can't force artistic maturity. You can't force be unique, bitch. Like, can't say that, right?
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. And in that sense, it was just like from the start, like from episode 1, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it kind of had the same.
No,
it kind of had the same atmosphere to that.
Actually, I liked it while in Foreign too.
Oh yeah, he was good too.
I didn't have high hopes for him, but as the show progressed, he was one of the few people that actually made some hard hitting hip hop, like sounds like DNA and stuff.
Oh, that was fire. That was fire.
I mean, episode 1. I'm sure it's going to like rub a lot of the foreign fans the wrong way. Like, he did the sea walk and stuff like that, and it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, especially, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion, but I think some foreign fans will take issue with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that.
And him doing the sea walk and stuff like, man, what are you doing, man? But it's true that he was a very capable rapper in the show. Like, when he was killing that Kendrick beat, that Backseat Freestyle beat, man, dude can really rap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. And he didn't make it to that far in the competition, from what I remember, right?
Yeah, he didn't go to the finals. I think he stopped at the semis and then got eliminated.
Like, where's the younger gories? Like, where's the Kobuksons?
Yeah.
Like, Kobukson was such a... that should change the game. Like, younger gory too, but...
Yeah.
YGGR too, but... there has to be a second turtle ship. And in a sense, there has to be a second Forever. There has to be a second turtle ship. There has to be a second YGGR. But we're not seeing that anymore.
Yeah.
And people say it's like, oh, the game changed. Which in a sense is true.
Yeah.
But it's also true that they're not doing as well as the charts. Well, in the charts, we're having that kind of impact. There has been a lot of controversy.
For sure. Yeah.
A lot of controversy regarding the season. Like, there was something with Plume, I think.
Yeah.
The editing problems again. It's just, I'm not sure. I know that I'm saying this a lot. I know that a lot of the listeners of this podcast might be sick of me saying this again and again. We have to move past these audition programs. We really have to. The more we rely on this, the more it becomes a crutch. We will never learn how to walk. We will never learn how to fly. It's just so frustrating. The problem is, like, I was actually shocked by this. When I talk to people that are way younger, that are actually like hip hop fans, they think going through an audition is part of the culture.
Interesting.
That is very dangerous. This fact that hip hop was about not caring about other people's approval, doing whatever shit you wanted to on a track, saying that you're the fucking best because you believed in it. That is what hip hop was about. That is what hip hop is still about. But if somehow earning someone's approval, and I'm not talking about producers here. I'm talking about the masses. The fact that you have to earn the approval of the masses to even start at this game, it just goes against what this culture was all about. This culture started from a band of misfits that said fuck society. Like, not in the sense like fuck society as like fuck the government. No. I'm talking about the general, like, various shackles that society has to offer. We started off saying fuck you to that.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, as I see this game changing, it has been more about who fits into that shackle best. It's like being the best servant. This game has never been about being the best servant to the masses. We have compromised a lot of our values from coming here. And we can't say that was a bad decision because we really did benefit a lot from that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is time to find a balance now, right now.
Mm-hmm.
We had nine auditions from the same franchise.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
And the spin-off, we had 4.
Yeah.
And in another spin-off, I think Unpretty Rapstar was until season 2, right? Was it 3?
I think so. Season 2 or 3.
Yeah. We had more than 10 audition programs.
Yeah.
This shit needs to stop sometime. Like, there's a great interview by The Quiet that says, someday we will have to go back to Hongdae.
Mm.
We will have to go back to the fields where we sold our first seeds.
Mm.
Because that is the very basis of what this culture stands on.
Mm.
The masses are not going to love us forever.
That's true.
And we have been at this game for at least 20 years right now. At the least. Like, Dynamic Duo and stuff came out in the 2000s, right?
Yeah. CB Mass.
Yeah, Mass Appeal. Like, not their song, I mean, but not their album title. I mean, like, when we started giving a fuck about Mass Appeal around the 2000s. We're at this game in about 20 years.
Mm. I hear you.
It's time to go back.
I hear you.
It's time to actually look and see what this culture was all about. Success isn't everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Success came from some kind of foundation. And if that foundation falls, the success that's stepping on, like, that is on top of that foundation is bound to come burning down at some point.
Yeah.
Give a fuck about the foundation is all I'm saying. The more I see audition programs like fail like this, it's as if maybe the pie we kept expanding for the past 10 years, maybe it's really starting to collapse. And there hasn't been enough investment in the actual culture that people are supporting. In, like, it's kind of a bubble in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to use this word because it is not entirely a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
But you get what I'm talking about here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, like, the future is bleak.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I see auditions fail, I don't feel good because I really want to see them succeed.
I hear you.
And by them failing, it just makes us, as a hip-hop fan, it just makes me think, did we really do enough for the foundation? Like, if mainstream appeal is failing like this, the more we have to regret what we have kind of, like, failed to establish in the base.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It's a tough road. It's a tough industry, and especially with, all these audition programs. And, I think a lot of times these kids or these teenagers, they kind of see this as a way to get recognition because, again, you know how Korea is a conservative country, and, how their parents are like, oh, no, hip hop is not a job. It's more of just a hobby. Yeah. And I think...
Yeah.
And look, I think this is a great opportunity for them to a certain extent. But like you said, if you go too far, it can become very toxic and unhealthy. So, we just hope that, there is a balance moving forward, and these people can take away with this season not being too successful. I hope that, they can find a way, if they were to somehow bring back season 5, that they're able to learn and take away.
Yeah, they have a lot to learn from the mistakes of this season.
For sure.
They have to do better, man. Seriously.
For sure. Yeah. So as we, begin to slowly wrap up our show, as usual, any artists or tracks that you're currently listening to and would like to share or recommend to our listeners?
Since we're talking about the auditions, let's say high school rapper actually managed to, the first 2 seasons I talked about how they actually managed to establish a few artist careers, right? Unofficial Boy recently put out an album. Some of you might remember him as Isurin from the Dick Kids crew.
Okay, yes, I remember him.
Yeah, he's on fire these days. Last year he had a great album. This year he put out another album, which is great. He has a very unique blend of like melodical shit with trap music.
Yeah.
But he does it in a way that is so indulged, I guess. It's a very interesting album, like very weird choices. Like on some tracks, like he's just riffing on like beatboxing and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's super melodical as well. It's really catchy. There's a song called MMM.
Okay.
Featuring Ocean from the Blue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Unofficial Boy, MMM, featuring Ocean from the Blue. This is great.
For sure.
This is a great track. Sweet, sensual, still technical. Yeah, just check the entire album out. But this is actually the title song. So
for sure.
Yeah, check this out. If you like this song, check out the whole album. It's very diverse, super technical, super catchy, melodical, well thought out, well structured. Everything I look for in an album, it's here. So
for sure. So for me, I was kind of thinking about our last episode where we talked about, Area and Benzino Tabana, and you mentioned about Our Real Goat and E-Sense.
Yeah.
And I went back that following day and I started listening to Our Real Goat, and I was like, dude, this kid is unreal. He's super talented. And
yes.
And then I also was listening to E-Sense's music, and I just love that Stranger album by E-Sense.
Yeah.
It's so different from
a great album.
From his previous album. And I was going back and forth on what to select because both are great artists. One's an upcoming artist and one's already an established legendary. And I couldn't help but to pass up on E-Sense, man. Like I just had to select E-Sense. So I picked E-Sense's song called Radar, featuring Kim Shimya. Yeah. Off of the Stranger album. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yo.
That hook is fire.
The only reason why I chose this is because for people who listen to E-Sense's music, you know that his original or preferred style is like that boom bap. You know what I mean? That very old school sounding. But when he came out with Stranger, he tapped into something that's very
primal.
Yeah, primal, but also just like, whoa, wait, E-Sense is he going into this trap style kind of in some ways? And I was like, I got to listen to this because this could be something very new that, E-Sense might be really good at.
Very hungry on that album.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Anecdote was more of a self-reflection kind of biographical, cinematic. This was like, I'm gonna show you why I'm called the best rapper in Korean hip hop.
Yeah, and I was listening to all of the songs in the album, and dude, Radar was just not only addicting, but it was actually lyrically strong for what it was, for a typical trap song. It was like, whoa, this was insane.
He is the best lyricist. He is called the best lyricist.
I'm not surprised by that. And when I heard
a lot of people call him the Nas of Korean hip hop.
Dude, that's like literally a perfect comparison. And dude, that Radar song featuring Kim Shimya with that hook, I was just like, yo, this is, this is something else. This is something else. And I was listening to all of the songs in the album, and dude, Radar was just not only addicting, but it was actually lyrically strong for what it was, for a typical trap song. It was like, whoa, this was insane. out of this world. And I think from the day I selected to listen to that song, I might have listened to it at least 20 times just because that's how good the song was. So for people who do not know E-Sense or have listened to E-Sense's music, and if you're that listener who likes that trap stuff, but with like strong lyrics, I highly recommend you listening to E-Sense's 2019 The Stranger, and specifically Radar featuring Kim Shin-yeol. I highly recommend it. I wasn't a big fan of E-Sense when I started listening to K-hip hop, but when I started listening to the anecdote, right?
Yeah.
Yo, ever since that album, I instantly fell in love with his music. The man is insane.
Yeah, he is. He's actually my favorite rapper, so I immediately know what you're talking about.
Exactly. I was like, wow, the production on all of his songs, especially Radar, man. Frank, dude, Frank is ridiculously talented, dude. That guy is so unique with his beat selection, beat making. I mean, it's like kind of like futuristic hip hop. Like the beats that he's making, it's just very experimental, but at the same time, it kind of caters to the audience.
It's like super minimalistic, that album.
Yeah, very minimalistic.
It reminded me a lot of like TDE stuff, like the early like J-Rock albums, or
for sure
like Schoolboy Q albums, like that kind of trendy, like very pristine but something in there kind of beats.
Yeah. So for those that don't know E-Sense, for starters, I highly recommend Radar featuring Kim Shin-yeol.
Like putting on top of that, people who are listening to E-Sense, I really recommend you listen to it with the lyrics.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
E-Sense is one of those rappers like that really uses English.
Oh, dude, I don't think he uses English at all. Like very little.
I mean, he uses English quite a lot of the times, but it's usually just for like slang terms, like hip hop slang. You know what I mean? Like almost all of his lyrics are composed in Korean, and because like one thing about E-Sense is that if you're how do you call it? The way you appreciate his music is going to change on how well you're versed in Korean.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like if you're a person who doesn't know English, let's say, you're going to be gravitated more toward, let's say, Kanye than a Common or a Nas.
For sure.
You know what I mean? You're going to be attracted more to Young Thug or Future than you are to Kendrick. And I think that's important to take in. Like E-Sense is regarded as the most lyrical individual when I'm talking. He is the lyricist. He is the quintessential lyricist. He is the standard when it comes to lyricism in Korean hip hop. So if you're listening to him, make sure you check the lyrics.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but please do comment and let us know what you think about the topic we went over today. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please go and subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms, and please give us that 5-star rating. If you want more K-hip hop content, go check out Daytona's Instagram at MYK_Daytona for K-hip hop album reviews, and also follow our social media page at Seoul_Therapy. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time. Peace.